What's up, Mythic Crew? Welcome back to another video. So in this one, we've picked up another car because you know I can't help myself and I'm always surfing Marketplace buying more cars. We got a 190e Mercedes. This is an 86. It is a absolute legend. And this one was pretty much abandoned out in Tonopah, Arizona. Met a nice guy who's really into these cars and has quite a few of them. This one is covered in dust. It was sitting way out there, 2 hours away from where I'm at. So we just picked this up. Now we're gonna wash it and see how good we can make it look. The paint is really nice. I love this color. Haven't seen very many in this color. It runs like an absolute top. It leaks no fluids at all. It's just a great example of one of these cars. I mean, for being an 86, it has a ton of technology. The interior is really clean. So we're gonna cruise over, see Kevin, give him a t-shirt that I made, and just feel out the car. All right, everyone, we're about to pull up, and then I want to get Kevin's genuine first reaction to this old Mercedes. So let's see what he thinks. I'm in love with this thing.
Yeah. When'd you pick it up?
Today. Alright guys, so some of the trim pieces on the 190 are actually broken on the inside, and we just picked up this Anycubic 3D printer, which is pretty large, as you can see if I put my hand next to it. And we're gonna start doing some 3D printing and see if we can get those interior pieces made without having to go to the junkyard or finding an old car. So we have everything laid out in our slicer. Here's a preview of everything supported. Alright, with the crew, after a long evening, we finally have our very first ABS parts printed on the printer here.
Now we're taking our 3D printed part and we are test fitting it into the dash right next to our gauge pod right there, and we will install the vents and make sure that the AC lines up also. Since that was a big success, I went and found more files. We found an Evo 2 spoiler for the 190e. This is it inside of the slicer, and I cut it up into pieces so that we can start to print our own spoiler, and I'm going to show you how we're going to fiberglass and fill and make it into a real body part for the car. Here you can see I have multiple of our printed parts, and I made studs on them so that they align really well, and we'll slide those together and start making this spoiler. Now that we have our parts test fit together, we are going to line them up on the car and make sure that the sizing and angles of everything is at least correct enough where we can start to do some body work on this and really dial everything in to make this spoiler. So now to do something more mechanical, I had noticed that the coolant hose is overpressurized and I thought it was a thermostat, but I wanted to test for a head gasket. So we take this tool right here, you put it onto the reservoir, fill it with the fluid, and basically you connect it to vacuum, turn the car on, and it pulls suction, and if the fluid turns yellow, it would be a head gasket. Luckily, our fluid stayed blue, so we do not have a head gasket issue, and we can just change the thermostat.
All right, everybody, we have got the Mercedes home now, and I've noticed that this front speaker right here is blown, so I went to Best Buy and we just picked up some cheapy 4-inch Pioneers that we can throw up there and just replace it for now. All right, now we can just pop that out of there. As you can see, you've just got those 2 screws on the top. So as you can see, there's a little speaker right there. It has no screws, so we just got to pry it out with this screwdriver. Let's give it a little pry, just one little pry like that, and boom. Speaker is out. All right, everyone, we got the supplies that we need to splice in the wires from this speaker to our new wires for our new speaker. Our wire cutter's right here. We have our new wire. Gonna cut our wire right up there by the speaker, retain as much as we can. So then what we have here, instead of a normal butt connector, we have solder connectors. So we're gonna take the power to power, we're going to put them together and twist them, already giving us a solid connection. Then we're gonna slide this solder connector back over with the solder in the middle, and then use our heat gun. As you can see, the solder melted to both sides and it crimped it down, so these two are now one wire. Now the stripes are a little bit confusing, but if we looked at the diagram for these speakers, the black wire is the ground, because all there is a black and a white. Now the green striped wire here is our power, because the black is the ground. So we don't want to get confused by that. So we're now connected on both of our wires. We can go plug in the new speaker and test it out. Then we do the other side. Okay. All right. That is plugged in. First, we're gonna test the speaker before we put it in the hole and make sure we got our wiring right. Now we can take our foam and put it around this bottom edge so that we don't get any rattles. Then we have our cap on and our new speaker in, and we can move on to the passenger side. Now the passenger side seemed like a little bit more of an issue. I'm not sure what we're gonna find in there, but I hear no sound coming from the passenger side, so it might not have a speaker at all, which would be a problem because then we wouldn't have the wire to be able to splice in. And it's not just two prongs, they're different shapes, so we'd have to find something to do. Let's crack it open and find out. We did get lucky, the speaker is in the hole, so we can try it out. Aha, this one. Not plugged in. We're actually going to start taking the glove box out to see if we can find the speaker wire behind it. Shimmy it out of here. All right, we have found the wire for our radio. I can see why it got lost. So now that we found out that this speaker has issues, probably why it was unplugged, someone was gonna put different ones in. Let's wire up this Pioneer just like we did the other side, and then we'll toss this one in. So I'm gonna go do that. We'll have it done in just a snap. Whoa, oh my gosh. Whoa, that was done fast for you guys. Yeah, so we're back. We've got these wires spliced together and we are ready to put our Pioneer up in here after we foam tape it. All right, so we have our speaker right here set back in, and now we are going to put on the cover. Sorry it's so dark, but it's getting late. It's easier to do little projects at nighttime here in Arizona because it is so ungodly hot during the day. All right, so we put the second Pioneer speaker in on the passenger side, and now I'm going to toss the glove box in, and that will be that project done. All right, everybody, we're up bright and early on a Saturday. I was about to take the Mercedes to a car meet and have a good time, show you guys that, but we have run into our first major issue of the vehicle. I'm just gonna get right to it and show you. So we go to put the key in the car, and we cannot turn it. Wiggle the steering wheel and everything, can't turn it. Lock cylinder is stuck.
So now I tried to drill out the lock cylinder and then that didn't work, so I started taking everything apart to try to get the entire piece out. There's a pin that you cannot take out unless you can release the entire lock cylinder. Here, I finally have it out of the car. I had to cut the safety sleeve off with a die grinder and carbide bits, and here is the new piece finally being installed. This is one of the worst jobs I've ever had to do on a car, hands down, but very glad to say that we got it back in the car and it runs. So that was a little bit of a taste of the first things that we're doing to try to restore this old Mercedes that we found in the desert. That's going to be the end of this episode. I will see you all in the next one, and we have big plans for this car and many more to come. Stay tuned, like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.